Next week, Blake Anderson from ASU. Boy, did they win a big one. They really needed last week. They play South Alabama. Let's have a big crowd for him next week. I know Red Wolves folks will be here, but love for you to be here for Blake Anderson. The week after that, we got the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame. Debbie told me tickets are on sale now, so go to the website and make sure you buy those tickets for the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame. And that's just not football. It's Lee Mayberry, it's track, it's women's athletics. Kevin McReynolds, I'll say just a few. That will be a great day. Also, since we have some special guests at the head table, I want to remind everybody the Broyles Award is December 6th. If you have not gone to that, we want you to go to that, and we'll be announcing information on tickets probably at the next meeting, but I did want to make mention of that. Also, please turn your phones off or mute them. You can text somebody. I love looking at see Tommy. Look at Tommy. They're doing good. Tommy likes that when everybody goes to their phone. You can let folks know they can listen live on 103.7 The Buzz or lrtouchdown.com. They can actually watch Coach Beamer's speech live today if you want to go there. So we're glad to be able to share our speaker each week through those two avenues. Got some special guests I want to introduce real quick. Last year, we have our Willie Rofe Award winner from last year. And that is the best offensive lineman in high school and college. Well, we have the high school recipient from last year. He was the MVP on Pulaski Academy's 14-0 team. An offensive lineman was the MVP for PA State Championship undefeated year last year. He is committed. His scholarship is to BYU. But tomorrow, he has to start his 2-year mission, Mormon mission. And so we wanted to wish him his best today. And his father, Kurt, is with us today. Let's give a Touchdown Club welcome to Caden Halls. Caden, stand up. He's a big old boy. Look at him. I remember Caden Willie Rofe was looking at your film and was very impressed. And he's gotten bigger and thicker. And I know BYU is lucky to have you, Kurt. I know you're proud of him. So, Caden, congratulations. We wish you the best on your mission. And when you come back in 2 years, you can get to start playing football again. But what a great young man, a great academic young man, and serving his faith for sure. Debbie, did you want pictures? Yeah, there are a ton of pictures out there that Dwayne has taken with you and our guest speakers. So if you're a 50-yard line member or sponsor, please, after the meeting, take a look, or next meeting beforehand. So we want to make sure and get those to you. Also, it is a banking holiday today. So I think Rex are you the one of 3 Simmons folks here today? I called Adam Mitchell and I said, Madam, are you out on the lake somewhere? And he said, no, but I'm off today. So instead, we're so lucky to have Betsy Broyles Arnold and Molly Arnold Gay. Betsy, of course, is the daughter of Frank Broyles, and Molly is her daughter. They are the 1-2 punch of the Frank and Barbara Broyles Foundation, and you guys have heard me talk about, starting this year, they are the presenter of the Frank Broyles Award. So they knew Coach Beamer was a new selection committee member, and they wanted to come down. And it's been such an honor to get to know what they do in supporting caregivers of Alzheimer's patients. And so one of the things that I know they would tell me to tell you, if you're dealing with somebody who's dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's, reach out to them at the foundation. They have been through it with their mom and grandmother, and you would not believe the passion. But I was going to tell you that every ticket, every dollar that we raised for the Broyles Award this year, there is somebody who's matching it for the Broyles Foundation. And so that's why we want you to buy tickets. We want you to buy tables. Yeah, let's give a round of applause for that. That's exciting. So Betsy and Molly drove down to have some meetings today and get a chance to visit with Coach Beamer. So thank you guys for what you do. We're excited. It's so great to work with them, and it's exciting that Coach Broyles' other legacy, and that's his passion for providing information and support for caregivers, is going on through the Broyles Award. And, of course, I'll mention Coach Beamer's connection to the Broyles Award here in a little bit. Let's see here. Do you want to thank our sponsors today? Twin City Limo. Dale got Coach Beamer here in 3 minutes from the airport, I think. 3 minutes. So Dale from Twin City, thank you so much. Greg Hatcher is the owner. Thank you, Twin City Limo. We got CJRW here. I know that Darren Gray is here today. Dan Sawyer is here today. And Kane Webb, who is the head of the Arkansas State Parks and Tourism Department. Great to have you guys here. CJRW, the oldest, most experienced PR firm and marketing firm in Arkansas. They're helping us with the Cliff Harris Award. Thank you, CJRW. Little Rock Convention Convention and Visitors Bureau. Thank you, Gretchen Hall and David Russell. Proud to be at the Little Rock Touchdown Club. So proud that 103.7 The Buzz is a sponsor. Great to have Tommy and Roger here every week, and RJ and Pat and Justin out in the foyer broadcasting live every week. We thank 103.7 The Buzz. Farm Bureau, Pulaski County, Todd Dennis. Great to have Todd here today. And Shauna Harper. If you don't have any business with that you're solid with other insurance companies, give those guys a chance. They're really great to work with. They're good people, and they've stepped up and been a sponsor with us the last few years. Farm Bureau, Pulaski County. Thank you, Todd and Shauna. Also, Wendy's, Nan Trammell. I was going to say, Caden, that right there is what you want to win in a few years. But he can't win it, can he? Because he's outside of Arkansas. It's just for right. So you've won the highest going, but you can't win because you went out of state. Sorry, never mind. Let me take that back. We do want to thank Wendy's, though, Nan Trammell, for helping sponsor those two trophies, and proud to be able to those awards. Caden, you wouldn't have an award if it weren't for Wendy's sponsoring that, so thank you to Nan Trammell. Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings Law Firm, I've talked about every week. It seems like another department that they have. I know Judy mentioned they have government and industry regulations. They handle that on a regular basis. They've got 2 former Chief Deputy AGs, the state's first Medicaid Inspector General on staff. They'll help you handle the red tape when it comes to federal, state, or local government. It's one of the many things they do at Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. It's always great to have them there every week, and appreciate their support of the Cliff Harris Award and their sponsorship there. Crane Automotive, Drew is here today, and Drew also is a sponsor. Larry Crane and Crane Automotive is a sponsor for the Brewers Award. And Drew, just another thing that Larry is sponsoring. We appreciate that, and make sure and give Crane Automotive some of your business. They employ over 800 Arkansans, and we thank you guys for your support of the Touchdown Club and the Brewers Award too. The Democrat Gazette, thank you to Wally Hall and Amanda Copley. We'll have our Player of the Week. Always great to have Amanda here. I think you've been here a lot more than Wally has, but you know, Wally's an important person that can't make every meeting. But thank you, Amanda, for your support, and Wally's too, the Democrat Gazette. And though Simmons Bank is not here today, we could. We are. Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Rex is here. Rex is here, and yeah, Nate is here. We couldn't do it without Simmons Bank. They're a great presenting sponsor, and Coach, too bad you couldn't have a chance to meet them. Simmons is a great presenting sponsor, and George Macris, I know, will be back here soon. So let's give it up for Simmons and all of our great sponsors. We couldn't do it without them. Do want to thank the fine folks here at the Embassy Suites. It's so great to work with them. They're so easy to work with. We appreciate them. Matt Johnson, Fidelity Local 6. Matt, thank you for doing a great job on our live stream every week and our AV. We got the best in America. Dwayne Duncan doing our photography. Thank you, Dwayne, for always being here each week and taking a ton of pictures. RJ Hawk Media Solutions, doing all of our social media. If you're on Twitter, it's at LR Touchdown Club. So go there and check that out. Check us out on the Facebook page. But thank you, RJ. And we couldn't do it without amazing ladies checking us in each week, and the guys who help set up before anybody gets in here. Let's give them a round of applause for a great job they do every week. It's time to present. Oh, and also, too, let's give it up for Debbie Wyman, our executive director. She does such a good job. Thank you, Debbie. It's time to present our Democrat Gazette Arkansas Player of the Week. This is a 2-time honoree. He was honored last year. We haven't had many that have been honored 2 years in a row. It's Brandon Hunter. He's a senior running back from Benton. 2 weeks ago, he rushed for 123 yards. He had 104 yards receiving, scored 4 touchdowns in a 63-win, zip win over Sylvan Hills. This past week, they won 56-7 over, who was it, Coach? Texarkana. He had 140 yards rushing. I asked which one does he like better, rushing or receiving, because he does both so well. He said, doesn't matter, so long as he gets the ball, Coach. Let's give it a Touchdown Club welcome to Brandon Hunter, everybody. I thank John Wilson for being here, and Brad Harris is being here. Well, Coach, thank you so much. Good luck for the rest of the season. Got good things going on there at Benton. And John, thank you for being here as well, too. All right, it's, if Coach Beamer hadn't made it, because I was wondering if he was going to make it or not, you know what I was going to have to do? Break down the Bama-Arkansas game. So I'm so glad that Coach Beamer showed up. But Rex will do a little bit of that now. Let's give it up. Rex Nelson with our weekend recap.
Yeah, if Coach Beamer hadn't made it, I was going to talk real slow, David, going through this. But as usual, I'll talk real fast because our speaker is here. Time for the weekend recap brought to you by Simmons Bank. Some of us are working today, David. Coach David pays me all the iced tea I can drink to do this every week. So here we are, and it's another week, another thriller in the Southeastern Conference involving Tennessee. Texas A&M wins it in double overtime, 45-38. Aggies are 6-0 for the first time since 1994. Trevor Knight throws for 239 yards, 2 touchdowns. He rushed for another 110 yards and another 3 scores. It's amazing that Tennessee hung around because they had 7 turnovers in the football game. The 5-1 Volunteers, though, rallied from a double-digit deficit in 4 of their first 5 games to win, and it finally caught up with it. It looked like they were going to do it again. They scored with 41 seconds left in regulation to tie the game after having trailed by 21 points in the third quarter. Get this, and they're 5-1. Tennessee has been outscored 62-17 in the first quarter so far this season. But they've got Alabama this week. They better not get too far behind them. Alabama, no doubt, I think we all in the room agree, is number 1. Unfortunately, the outcome was never really in doubt in Fayetteville. Tide wins 49-30. Coach Nick Saban now 10-0 as the Alabama head coach against Arkansas. 18th consecutive win for the Tide, dating back to that loss to Ole Miss last year. Minka Fitzgerald getting some National Defensive Honor of the Weeks. He had 3 interceptions against Arkansas, total of 114 yards in returns, including, of course, that 100-yard touchdown return. That is the most yardage ever allowed on interception returns by a player against Arkansas in the history of the program going back to the 1890s. 5 Razorback turnovers lead to 28 Alabama points. Jalen Hurts passes for 253 yards and 2 touchdowns. Austin Allen did have 400 yards passing. That's the most ever for an Arkansas quarterback against an Alabama team. So Arkansas now 4-18 against number 1 teams. They're 0-5 against the Tide when the Tide has come in number 1 against them. Bad stat here. Alabama outrushed Arkansas in the game 264-73. So only 73 yards on the ground. But Alabama's got quite a defense. Get this. They lead the country with 9 non-offensive touchdowns. Austin Allen had his streak, of course, of 146 consecutive passes without an interception broken. The Tide has scored non-offensive touchdowns in 8 consecutive games. Obviously, they lead the country in that category. Elsewhere in the SEC, heat off of Gus Malzahn for at least for a little bit now. They've won 3 consecutive games at Auburn. Tigers just destroyed Mississippi State in Stark Vegas, 38-14. They led that game 35-0 at the half. So Auburn's now 4-2 overall, 2-1 in the conference. Mississippi State falls to 2-3 and 1-2. An Auburn sophomore named Cameron Petway rushed for 169 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game. In a battle of basketball schools, Kentucky beats Vanderbilt 20-13 in Lexington. Kentucky 3-3 overall, 2-2 in the conference. Vandy 2-4 and 0-3. And Coach Derek Mason still does not have an SEC road victory. This was his chance. Following 2 consecutive losses yesterday, some of you got college football on a Sunday. I watched it. Georgia got back on the winning track, 28-14 at South Carolina. Nick Chubb back from a sprained ankle. He rushed for 121 yards in that game. Georgia goes to 4-2 overall, 2-2 in the conference. That's 3 consecutive losses now for South Carolina as those veins get further out of Will Muschamp's neck. They fall to 2-4 overall. They are 1-4 in the conference. All right, on to the Great American Conference where there is now only 1 undefeated team left, and it's Harding. Henderson was 5-0. They were playing at home, and they were number 5 in the nation in NCAA Division II. But number 16 Harding comes in and jumps to a 35-0 lead by halftime and end up winning 35-3. That's only the 5th Henderson loss in 50 GAC games since the conference started playing football in 2011. Harding had 2 touchdowns in the final 5 seconds of the first first half. They had 2 defensive touchdowns in the first half. In fact, their quarterback didn't even play in the second half against the number 5 team in the country. So Harding all alone atop the conference. Arkansas Tech and Ouachita both 3-3. Tech just destroys Ouachita 49-17. It was the worst home loss for Ouachita in 9 years for a team that's missing its quarterback, top receiver, top offensive lineman. Not to make excuses, David, just the facts. A cornerback and 2 safeties, all to injuries right now. But Tech lost its quarterback earlier in the year, and they moved their best athlete, a wide receiver named Jabias Cross, from wide receiver to quarterback, and he's doing a great job. Southern Arkansas, if any mule riders in the crowd, they're doing well. 5-1, 52-7 over 2-4 Oklahoma Baptist. Mule Riders had 289 yards passing in that game compared to just 34 yards passing for Oklahoma Baptist. And Southern Nazarene gets its first victory in 6 games, 31-17 over UAM. So among the Arkansas schools in the GAC, Harding is 6-0, Henderson's 5-1, Southern Arkansas's 5-1, Ouachita's 3-3, Tech's 3-3, UAM's 2-4. We have with us the GAC commissioner today. Will Pruitt, where are you? Wave. Let's give him a hand. He's with us today. There he is. Mr. Commissioner, thank you for joining us. Good football. You ought to go try it sometime. Harding, number 8 now in the new poll, so they move into the top 10. Henderson drops to number 15. NCAA Division III, Hendricks. I wore my orange tie today, Rasco. Hendricks, following a 47-17 win at Birmingham Southern, is 5-0. Warriors had 614 yards of offense. Seth Peters was 20 of 32 rushing for 296 yards. Dayton Wynn rushed for another 126 yards. And Lyon College in the NAIA goes to 3-4. That's 3 more victories than last year in their first year of football. 35-21 over the Steers from Texas College. Michael Bowles rushes for 150 yards. Dwayne Robinson rushes for 134 yards. So 2 relatively new programs, Hendricks and Lyon. Congratulations to them as we have more and more colleges in Arkansas playing football. All right, Alabama at Tennessee this week. Anybody want to go out on a limb and pick Tennessee to win in an upset? That it? Going, gone. We got 1, Coach. All right, we got Missouri at Florida, Vanderbilt at Georgia, Southern Mississippi at LSU, Mississippi State at BYU. That's a Friday night game. Ole Miss and Arkansas. Who's picking the Hogs this week to knock off Ole Miss? All right. Who's picking Ole Miss? Let's be honest. We're an honest group here. All right, 6 o'clock. In Fayetteville, ESPN. Also this week in the state, boy, there's a smorgasbord of college football. South Alabama at Arkansas State, UAM at Henderson, Southeastern Oklahoma at Harding, Southern Arkansas at Ouachita, East Central Oklahoma at Arkansas Tech, Alabama A&M at UAPB, and Berry at Hendricks. So you got games in Fayetteville, Jonesboro, Pine Bluff, 2 in Arkadelphia, Searcy, Russellville, and Conway. No excuses this week. Get out and see a college football game. Thanks, everybody.
You know, that Alabama loss was no fun. As a former player, and an alumni, it's tough for me to see that. And then I have to get up my job every morning, Coach. I do a 4-hour radio show. And today we had some people were jumping off the boat, jumping off the ship, jumping off the wagon. I maybe lost my composure just a little bit. And I said something I normally wouldn't say. Tommy, would you like to stand up and say what I told the caller who just would not, he said he wanted Biela McGaughan and we're terrible. And what did I say, Tommy? I did. So here's the deal. Lord, I'm sorry. And so Gary Underwood needs to come up and say the prayer that I forgot to have him do earlier.
I'm not the one that's forgetting to pray at game day. Okay? And by the way, I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is last night, my hearing came back from the crowd noise at the stadium, which was awesome. The problem was the hearing came back right before the debate. And whoever's making the noise over here, when I get done praying, please go ahead, if you would. There you go. Thank you. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for every good thing you give to us and the way you provide for every need that we have. We ask you to help us today to find ways to be used by you everywhere we turn. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thanks, Gary. I did. I'm telling you. Is somebody, there's some liquor out here in this crowd somewhere. I did want to mention Terry Condor Johnson and Tom Mitchell over here with the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame. Thank you for your support for what you do in the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame that we're going to do here in a few weeks. So that's a collaborative effort. I do want to thank them and for their support. We're going to have Jim Rascal come up and introduce Coach Beamer, but I did want to say, Coach, real quick, you know, it's great to have our All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Weeks each week here because you get to see legendary guys. And I got to thinking, you know who else that we've been able to bring in? We brought in Bobby Bowden, brought in Tom Osborne, brought in those kind of guys, and Frank Beamer's right up there. And I can't bring back Bear, can't bring back Pop Warner, but we can bring in the ones that are alive and well and happy to be here. And so, Coach, this is your first year off, and we thank you for taking the time to come. We thank you for agreeing to serve on the Broyles Selection Committee. And for those of you who don't know, one of his assistants won the Broyles Award. His name is Bud Foster, one of the great defensive coordinators who's ever coached. And he was like the Susan Lucci of the Broyles Award. He had been a finalist 4 years, Coach, and he kept coming. And it's tough when you've come here 4 times and you haven't heard your name called. And he won the award, and this was over like a 7 or 8 year period. And Coach, some coaches maybe are meant to be assistants. And I thought maybe Bud might have a chance to be a head coach, but he's decided to stay with Coach Fuentes and he's doing a great job. Shut out to North Carolina the other day. But I want to let you know, I know how important he is to you, and we love him here in Little Rock, and what a class act. And you understand what it takes to be a great assistant. You've been an assistant too. You've been a head coach as well. But I just wanted to thank you for being willing to serve on our selection committee. Our selection committee has won combined, all of our coaches and selection committees, 15 national championships, 4,000 wins, 98 conference championships, and there's 15 Hall of Famers, college football Hall of Famers. He'll be the next. And so, Coach, you'll get a formal introduction now, but I just want to say thank you for taking the time. Thank you for what you meant to college football. You're not just a winner, but you're a class act, and you've been that way a long, long time. So thank you. Jim, will you come up and introduce Coach?
Okay, today's guest was born in Mount Airy, North Carolina. He grew up on a farm outside Fancy Gap, Virginia, and went to high school in nearby Hillsville, Virginia. My research of the playing career of Frank Beamer starts with the season of 1963. That year, 11th grader Frank Beamer of Hillsville High was named second-team All-State. As a senior in 1964, Beamer, listed as 5'10" and weighing 165 pounds, was not only Virginia's first-team All-State quarterback, he was one of only 5 high school players from the state of Virginia named to the All-Southern High School All-Star team announced each year in the Orlando Sentinel. Beamer was recruited to play his college football for Coach Jerry Claiborne at Virginia Tech, and I next found his name in October of 1965. Frank Beamer was listed as a defensive standout for Tech's freshman team. For the next 3 seasons, Frank Beamer wore uniform number 25 and was the defensive right halfback for Jerry Claiborne's Virginia Tech's Gobblers. That's right, I said the Gobblers. Virginia Tech didn't become known as the Hokies until 1981. I certainly don't have enough time to cover Coach Beamer's playing career and coaching career in any great detail, but since all of you know a lot about his coaching career, I'll go back and cover a couple of highlights of his playing career. First, let's go back to October 29th, 1966. It's homecoming game for Virginia Tech as the Gobblers host Florida State before a regional TV audience. Now quoting from the Richmond Times newspaper, sophomore defensive halfback Frank Beamer was the hero, picking off a pass in his own end zone to stop a Seminole threat, and Virginia Tech won 23-21. 2 weeks later, Beamer intercepts a pass on the 6-yard line to preserve a 20-18 victory for the Gobblers. Virginia Tech went on to play Miami in the Liberty Bowl at the end of his sophomore season. Now let's jump to September 1967, again quoting from the Richmond paper. Defensive Player of the Week for the state of Virginia is Frank Beamer of Virginia Tech. An all-state high school quarterback, Beamer was moved to the defensive secondary in college, and in the season opener he contributed an interception, numerous tackles. One key play by Beamer came in the first quarter when he avoided 2 blockers and halted the Tampa runner after a 25-yard gain. He also held the ball for 2 field goals and an extra point. Excuse me. Beamer is a junior, 5'9", 170 pounds from Hillsville. It shrunk 1 inch there, Coach. A highlight of his senior season was a 50-yard pick six that put Virginia Tech in the Liberty Bowl to face Ole Miss and Archie Manning. In that 1968 Liberty Bowl, the Gobblers led 17-0 at the end of the first quarter. But some strange calls by the back judge, an SEC official, helped Ole Miss come back to win the game. Coach, we feel for you. Because 3 years later, we Arkansas fans learned firsthand about those Liberty Bowl officials. How many of you remember a referee named Preston Watts? After graduation from Virginia Tech, Frank spent 3 years as a high school coach and then 9 years as assistant coach at the college level. His first head coaching position was at Murray State, where his teams won 42 games during his 6 seasons guiding the Racers. On December the 22nd, 1986, Coach Beamer was hired as the new head coach at Virginia Tech, replacing Bill Dooley. The rest is history. Coach Beamer spent his first few seasons laboring under scholarship reductions imposed by the NCAA due to some violations under Coach Dooley. But starting in 1993, Coach Beamer led Virginia Tech to 23 consecutive winning seasons and 23 consecutive bowl games before his retirement. And in 1999, the Hokies, led by freshman quarterback Michael Vick, were undefeated during the regular season and were selected to play undefeated Florida State for the national championship in the Sugar Bowl. Beamer's Hokies led 29-28 at the end of the third quarter, but with both of Tech's cornerbacks out with injuries, their inexperienced subs became confused on coverage, and Florida State came back in the fourth quarter to defeat the Hokies. At the time of his retirement, following the end of the 2015 season, Coach Beamer was the winningest active coach in major college football with 280 career victories. Please welcome Coach Frank Beamer.
Thank you very much. You know more about me than I know about myself. That is the most detailed introduction I've ever had. I appreciate it very much. It's funny when he was talking about that. I went back to the Richmond game, and used to in the state, Richmond and Virginia Tech was a big ball game. And I was fortunate enough to intercept the ball out in the flat, and they had a guy that had transferred into Richmond from Notre Dame, and this kid could throw the ball. Buster O'Brien's his name. He could really throw the ball, but he was just a big guy that couldn't move much, And so I intercepted the ball out in the flat, about the 25-yard line, and I'm going down the sideline, and here's this big fat quarterback about ready to tackle me, but I got in the end zone, and this was illegal in those days. So what I did when I got in the end zone is took the ball and threw it up in the air and threw it up in the stands. And so Coach Claiborne said, "Frank, you got to act like, you've been there." And I said, "Well, I have been there." I haven't been there. So, I'm so glad you folks are here today. Thought so much of your dad and respected him. I know one of my all-time great thoughts is when I was a young guy and going to the coaching convention and saw her dad and granddad walk through the lobby there. I thought I was very star-stricken at that very moment. And what a great guy, and what a great record, and a great individual he is. And again, I'm proud of Bud Foster and the fact that we got one of these up at Blacksburg. So I'm probably, shut the heck up, this guy. I think I'm going to be on the right thing today, because I'm going to talk to you about staying in one place for 29 years. And take a good look at me. You may never see another guy do that. And but I was fortunate. I'm going to kind of go through it a little bit. But I'm going to say this to you, that I think, you get judged on wins and losses, and that's just the way it is. But here, when a couple of coaches have been fired, a couple of games into the new season, a lot of money involved, and, I don't think it should always be exactly wins and losses. It's got to be in there. You got to factor that in. But I think there's three other things that you need to factor in. I went through 4 presidents at Virginia Tech, 3 athletic directors, so never had a bad one, and I was able to hang on there, but usually you don't outlast your athletic directors and your presidents. But I think when you look at the NFL, and I know a lot of people say not for long, that's what the NFL stands for, and that's pretty accurate. But since 2005, 65% of the NFL coaches, head coaches, have been fired. Of that 65% fired, none of them lasted longer than 3 years with their team. Now think about that and how much money and how much transition. And when you change, there's always a period of adjustment to the change. Since 2005, in that same period, since 2005, there's only 2 head coaches that are still with their teams. Y'all know who they are? Belichick and Marvin Lewis with the Bengals. The Raiders and the Browns together have had 15 different coaches, and y'all know the success that they've had. So, to me, there's something a little bit more involved in winning. And you think about each of those, the 3 coaches that, with the Pittsburgh Steelers. During that whole time, the Steelers had 3 coaches. So in the past 47 years, the Steelers have had 3 different coaches. All 3 have won the league championship. All right. Bill Coward, I don't know if y'all remember this or not, he had 2 straight losing seasons. Then that 3rd year, he won the Super Bowl. So, there's something to be said there. The things that I would talk to you about, there's 3 of them. And I think wins is one thing, but integrity, communication, and being organized are the 3 things that I would look for in somebody to head my organization. Or these things kind of apply to every person at home, but certainly in a football coach, that's what I would look for. I've been defined by football all these years, but one game I really like is golf. And I'm going to talk about integrity right here. In golf, all these sports we watch on TV, soccer, football, basketball, baseball, they always have an official there. Somebody to make sure the game is played right. But in golf, the officials are the players themselves, and they call it out. And so with that in mind, I'm always been intrigued by golf. I think you find out a lot about a person in a 4-hour round of golf, how passionate they are, how respectful they are, courteous. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you find. And I always said, now, if I can play about 4 hours of golf with somebody, I can tell you a lot about them, because if you cheat in golf, you'll cheat in life. It's just a fact. So I'm reminded of this guy from Middle Tennessee State called Jason Millar. And I'm going to tell you about him. Jason had just qualified in Memphis for the U.S. Open, and it was going to be in Pinehurst, North Carolina. And of course, the U.S. Open is one of the 4 major tournaments, so it was a big, big deal. He gets in his car, he's heading towards Pinehurst. About 50 minutes into the trip, he stops, he turns it around, goes back home. And he called the Golf Association and said he might have signed an incorrect card. And so he lost that. Now, what happened on about the 17th hole when he was qualifying, he was in a sand trap. And he looked down, and he didn't know that there's a little indentation in the sand, and he didn't know if his club had hit that sand or what, as he was taking a practice swing, but if you ground your club, it's two-stroke penalty. And there wasn't a TV there. This is qualifying round. There wasn't anyone to check it. I mean, it was just him and the ball and his integrity. And he said, I just couldn't get it out of my mind. Whether I'd caused it or whether it was real or not, I couldn't get it out of my mind. So, a guy calls it, he gives up a great opportunity to go play in the U.S. Open once in a world or once in several years. That wouldn't happen, but he gives that up. So, to me, integrity. That's a big thing as far as coaching world and how I would talk about coaching. Next, communication. I've always said, say what you mean what you say. All right. I always was with our coaches. Make sure you're very exact in what you're saying to the kids. The communication has got to be there. And then with communication, whether it's a business program or a family's solving problems is a big part of it. And with the email these days, with texting these days, I said, when you hide behind that phone, you're not looking people in the eye. When you're in a computer, you're not looking people in the eye. The best way to solve a problem is get the people involved, get them in a room, talk it out, look each other in the eye, and that way, that's the best way to solve a problem. I think so much anymore, we're not looking people in the eye. I've always said, if you're, make sure if you're trying to solve a problem, you're talking to the person that can solve the problem. So many times you're over here moaning and groaning, and all you're doing is complaining. You're not going to you're not talking to the guy that can get something done. So, when and moaning and groaning is not a good way of communicating. So I'd say go there. Boxers. I'm not much on boxing, but I'm very interested in the corner man. And for you guys, the corner man is the person over there. That's where the boxer goes in between rounds. That's where the boxer goes if he's or looks when he's in trouble. And so that corner man has a lot of responsibilities. But and I'm going to read here. I'm going to read all the things here that a cornerman has done. Cornerman, he has to possess a range of attributes that many people never obtain: an unwavering devotion to the boxer. They must know every characteristic of his boxer. He needs to know what he's capable of. He must communicate with trust, and that's the biggest thing, is that when you tell that boxer something, that cornerman, that boxer's got to trust you. So a cornerman, I'd say, who is your cornerman? Who do you go to when you need help, or who do you trust? But more importantly, probably, who comes to you? Are you a cornerman for someone or several someones? And do they trust you? So communication, trust, I think that's big. Finally, being organized. Very important to me that people are organized, the organization is organized. I started out every year when we come off vacation, I started out with a meeting. And in this meeting, I would have everyone involved with the football program, sports information people, trainers, equipment guys, weight room people, everyone, academic people, because number one, I want everybody to know that you are a part of this organization and we're together in this thing trying to win, number one. But I also wanted everybody to know each other's responsibility, their responsibility, and who the other responsibilities were. And I go through and list them, what their title was: Bud Foster, defensive coordinator, and then what his responsibilities to the defense, and would go through each person like that. And I never assigned one responsibility to two people, never, because I wanted, if I had a problem, to know who to go to. All right, and more importantly here, if I want to know who to praise, if they did a great job. And my wife kind of got me on this, and I always kind of assumed for several years that people, coaches, assistant coaches, knew when they did a good job. And my wife's saying, well, you enjoy hearing praise, don't you? And I said, yes, I do. And she said, well, your coaches are the same way. And she's right. You know, pray. And in the latter part of my coaching years, I would look for nice things to say about people in front of other people, to praise them in front of other people. And I think it goes a long way in getting things done. So organization. And I'm going to go back to the Steelers and the Patriots, again, for being a highly organized operation. The Steelers have the smallest coaching staff in the NFL, followed by the Patriots. All right, the team with the most Super Bowl victories and the team with the most regular season wins since 2000 have had the least amount of people on their staff. And it kind of gets back into having so many people and you got two people doing one thing, and who do you blame? You know, you don't need all those people. I never felt that way. I've always felt that way. The less was better, and keep them busy. So the two best organized teams use their personnel and their time wisely. So, another thing I've always said, it's not how much time you spend at the office or whatever, it's what you do with your time. A lot of coaches, a lot of people in my business would say, all right, you're here at 8 o'clock, you leave at 11 o'clock. I was never that way. I would say I used to have time to get there, so we'd all know when to be there. Always kept our meetings at the same time, take an act of Congress to change a meeting time. Wanted to be consistent in that regard. But I said at nighttime, now you got to take care of the details, take care of the little things, and big things will come. But take care of all the details in your preparation. But when you're through, go home. Go home to your wife, your kids. Go see them, tuck them in bed, and so forth. And I thought that was the way to do it. I thought just to hang around, because you got to hang around, is not a very productive way to go. So what you do with your time, I think, is particularly important. So those three things: integrity, communication, being organized. I think that all goes into being able to consistently stay at a place, being able to consistently win. So I'll leave that with you here today. I think we're going to take a few questions, aren't we?
I'm going to be first.
All right.
All right, Coach. You coached a long time. I've had several people text me and say, ask Coach about the dab. For those that don't know, Coach did the old Cam Newton dab in the locker room after the game. So I wanted to say, you coached a long time. How different was it? Was it a challenge for you to adapt? You've been in the game so long that kids have changed today a little bit. Did you have to adapt with texting and social media? I wanted to ask about that. Also, some of the great coaches and great games you coached against. Talk about the Bobby Bowden and some of the other coaches you have a lot of respect for.
Number one, I'm going to tell you, how many of y'all seen my dancing in the locker room? Yeah? I'm going to tell you, my son Shane, he's now in Georgia, but he was with me last year. And his daughter, 8 years old, I believe it was going to a dance, and you bring in your dad. And Shane could not go with her. He had something going on. So Emily, Shane's wife, said, well, they call me Dad, said, well, your daddy can't go, but why don't you take Dad? She said, well, I've seen him dance. I don't think I want to take him. I said, no, that's my crazy dance. When I'm really serious about it, I'm smooth as silk. I'm good. When she didn't take me though. No, I don't know. I always we had this kid on our team, J.C. Coleman. He's a little guy, good little running back, but he was a dancer. So what I do is I get J.C. and I say, okay, I'm going to do whatever you do. So that's how we got the dad going, or whatever it's called. I'm not even sure of that. The great games, I'm going to tell you, Bobby, about a story that you brought him up. When I first came to Tech, we couldn't win. First few years were tough. And we were down playing at Florida State, and that's when Florida State was top 5 in the polls year in and year out. They were on a run with Coach Bowden there. And we got down there, and I tell you what, the whole game we went back and forth. We'd go up, they'd go up. We ended the game. They scored in the last couple of minutes. We went right back down the field, was throwing to the end zone for the win. Didn't get it. And we just needed a win. A win over a team like that. What could that do for the program? So I'm over there, and Coach Bowden comes out, and I didn't know if he was putting me on or not, but he came up to me and he said, Frank, wasn't that the best ball game? I said, it might have been the best ball game for you, but over here, I'm about ready to throw up. Are you kidding me? No, he's funny that way, but I had a great run and played him for the national championship, but I had a lot of good moments for sure.
Michael Vick. Tell me about Michael Vick in your.
Michael Vick. It's interesting. The Louisville paper was called me, and what's their kid's name? Louisville quarterback. Lamar Jackson. There you go. He was talking, and I think Michael had said something about Lamar reminded him of some of the things he used to do, or something like that. And I said, no. Michael Vick is he's in a category by himself. The things he could do, how quick he got rid of the ball, he's left-handed, how quick he got rid of the ball, how much on a rope he could throw it, how he threw the deep ball, how he could avoid people and keep a play going. All those things, I've never seen anyone, and don't really expect to ever see anyone like that. So he said, well, you don't think our boy at Louisville is there? And I said, well, he's in the discussion, but I've never seen another Michael Vick. So then I saw this guy playing a game on TV. He's close to Michael Vick. I got to call that writer back and said I was wrong. No, Michael he's a class guy. I thought he really cared. He didn't understand that dog fighting was wrong. That's just kind of where he grew up, and that was a bad deal. But he really, everybody on the team loved him. Great leader, very quiet, didn't say a lot, but he could really play.
Coach Bielema. Talk about Coach Bielema, what your exposure is. Coach Bielema as a coach of offense.
I don't know him real well, but know of his reputation, and know I think he's going to do a great job. Takes a little time to get things rolling, but he's a proven success, and I think Arkansas got him a good coach.
Yeah, right there, Rob.
You guys have a reputation for blocking punts and kicks. What do you do to prepare for that? And talk a little bit about the blocking
punts. It didn't take me long to figure out that the quickest way to win a game is in the kicking game, because you're always talking about big yards plays, momentum, touchdowns. It's the big plays. So, I started out, and the thing I did was convince some people that they needed to be on special teams, the best players on my team. And they're first, the best players, their offense, defense, and, special team is like, nah, I don't want to be there. When we ended up at Virginia Tech, I had offense and defensive guys, first teamers coming up and asking me to do that. But that's when we got to reputation. And, what happens, you got to have good athletes to block. To block a kick is an athletic move. You got to get from here to there fast. You got to have hand-eye coordination back there. And so, I had got the best players I could that we had, played special teams. That all started with Florida State. We went down there to play, and Deion Sanders, he took one back for a touchdown. They blocked one of our kicks and turned the game totally around. And I said, this is making sense here. Let's return kicks, let's block kicks, have a great kickoff return. And so that's, I think getting your best people and emphasizing. I'll say this, when the head coach is involved, and I think there's a lot more head coaches doing it now, but when the head coach is involved, it kind of makes a statement. This is important. So I think that was part of it too. Yeah.
First off, I appreciate reading about your foundation you started in your mother's honor, the Literacy Foundation. But the question I've got is, how did the university, like Virginia Tech, how did your football team and you as a coach respond after the school shooting there 2 years ago?
Well, I think we have always been a caring place and respectful place. I think after that day, we became more of that. And I went to a NASCAR race, and Jimmy Johnson, I was talking in the driver's meeting. He said, I guess Virginia Tech is going to be remembered for all those people that was shot on your campus. And I said, no, I think what Virginia Tech will be remembered for is how Virginia Tech responded to that. Rather than coming apart and, it was one sick individual, and we got tighter, we got closer, more respectful, and I think that's the way it is right now. When you watch a game of Virginia Tech on TV, all those fans are in there, and they're together and hanging together and respectful of the other team. That's kind of how I think Virginia Tech responded to that. Every day, I walk with guy John Belen at lunchtime, and we really made a habit of going around the campus. And one day, because they just needed to see someone that they knew maybe and maybe could talk to, or we needed each other. We needed each other. And there's a little girl was over in front of the academic building, a little girl sitting on a bench crying. We went over and sat down with her and talked to her for a few minutes, and we just needed each other. And I'm proud of what Virginia Tech, how we responded to an awful day on a campus.
Coach, I was going to ask, you've been coaching, you coached a long time. Has the money gotten out of hand? You got coaches making $5 million, $6 million. I want to ask that. And then also your entrance. I don't know if anybody has seen the entrance for the Virginia Tech team before a game. It's pretty electric. Was that your idea, or was that somebody else, and what it was like hype there at your games?
I never felt like they paid me enough. What are you talking about? One time early on, they were going to give me a raise, and I said, no, until we can give everybody a raise here at Virginia Tech, I'm not going to accept this. And everything was good till I got home and saw my wife. No, what was your question?
entry point, the team comes out.
Oh, yeah, Inner Sandman. Now, our marketing guy came up with that, but the music is so great. And how many of you guys have seen Virginia Tech when the team comes out and everybody's jumping? You know, everybody in the stadium, everyone is jumping. And I think it's the greatest entrance in football. We come out of the tunnel. We have our dressing room that we come out of before the game. We stay in the stadium there at halftime, but we come out. The fans can see you coming into the tunnel. So then that Inner Sandman starts going. Then as you're walking down through the tunnel, you hear it, and then you come out and everybody up in the air, and that's what I'm talking about. All together, and great entrance, great entrance.
Mention Bud Foster real quick. What Bud Foster meant.
Bud, you know, what Bud is good at is he's good at a lot of things, but you got to make adjustments at the game, because you know you're making your game plan for this week. But that other team is also going to do some different things this week. They're not sitting over there and saying, let's do exactly what we did last week. So now the deal is you got to be prepared for what they have done, but be able to adjust to what they do against Virginia Tech. And he's seen it all. He's seen about every offense, been through it all, and he's very quick to make adjustments. And I think how quickly you can adjust determines the game quite a bit. So he's meant a lot. He's got a good mind. He's really good getting kids fired up, prepared mentally, but prepared physically, and very well respected. And you know, I think the best defensive coordinator in the country.
Last question, Coach Fuentes. What do you think about the guy?
Justin Fuentes, I think Virginia Tech has made a very good choice. I like him. I sat down and talked with him several times. He's made me feel very welcome. I was staying away. I didn't want to get over there and get in the way. And he called me and said, hey, I want you to come over, and the kids want to see you, and da-da-da-da. So I don't know that there's been a better transition ever in college football. A lot of that goes to him being very cordial and how he's treated myself. And his wife has been to my wife's house. They've gone come over to lunch, and they've been out to eat and so forth. So everybody, they're just good people. Good people that I think he's going to do very well. We had, Tech's on a good roll right now, and we had a good team. We played some young guys at receiver last year, but now they're a year older. I think it's the best receiving group we've ever had. Defense, we played a lot of young guys last year, got a bunch of people hurt, but all those guys are back, and so I think they're very solid on defense. The one thing is the quarterback. We had a guy there that had played a little bit last year, but they went out. I knew they'd get in that situation squared away, and they went out and got an Evans kid that came out of junior college, and he's done a great job. I mean, he's been the difference in that football team having a lot of success right now. So I think they got a shot. They're pretty good. The field goal kicker we had's back, and he can whack it. And the punter is he's probably one of the best punters I've ever seen. Occasionally. The problem is he'd kick it 50 yards that way and shank the next one over here. And I always said, well, if you can do it one time, why can't you do it every time? I mean, in kicking, it's just like a golf swing. I mean, you do it the same way. And he's gotten a lot better. And he's hitting it for a pretty good average right now. So we got a pretty good kicking game. So if I can keep that, or not I, but if we can keep him, if we can keep him punting it that way, we'll be all right. So I think we're going to be all right. Thank y'all very much.
Beamer, everybody. Thanks for being here. Blake Anderson next week. Y'all come up and say hi to Coach Beamer and to Betsy and Molly. Thanks for being here today. So, Coach, what we're going to do